I'm Farhan Dalla, transformational trainer, and welcome to Elevate Your Life, a transformational podcast, an invitation to take the journey towards your deepest self. It is my intention to inspire you to connect, move, and meditate. We'll tap in, tune in, and dive in, and together learn and reflect from authentic, real, and transformative conversations. Let's get started. Hi, everyone. My guest today is Mike Mosallam. Mike Mosallam is a two-time Tony Award nominated producer, director, writer for theater, film, and television. Through his production company, Mike Mosallam Productions, he and his team produced short films including Breaking Fast, which was shown at the Cannes Film Festival, and Brothers, a 12-time jury and audience award winner, both written and directed by Mike, along with the short film Ubuntu, a co-production with the Muslim Public Affairs Council. His feature film debut, Breaking Fast, based on the short, is now available on Hulu and anywhere you can rent movies. He is the creator and co-executive producer of the 2011 critically acclaimed TLC series All American Muslim. Most recently, Mike was an executive creative consultant on season 2 of Hulu's Rami. His second feature film, a film adaptation of Heather Raffo's 9 Parts of Desire, premiered on PBS in the spring of 2023. His latest script, The Untitled Chubby Muslim Project, was a Blacklist selection in 2020. Currently in development are a TV series adaptation of Breaking Fast and a feature film based on CNN hero Rahul Dabi. On the theater side, Mike has produced and directed more than 100 theatrical productions. Most notably, he is a co-producer on the 6-time Tony-nominated revival of Parade starring Ben Platt, and the 6-time Tony-nominated revival of A Doll's House starring Jessica Chastain. He is a proud Muslim and a Lebanese American. Mike is represented by the Gersh Agency, color creative by Issa Rae, and Granderson de Rocher. Hi, Mike.
My goodness. Hello.
Isn't that impressive? Like when you hear that, what do you think? I'm
Well,
so proud of you, first of all. I'm so blown away by all of this.
my goodness. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful to God. I'm grateful to my parents and my family, biological and chosen. I'm just like, it's kind of hard to imagine the twists and turns of how I did various things and how we got there, but I'm so, so, so happy and so grateful for them.
Yeah, and a lot of the work speaks for itself because I've seen some of it and it's amazing. And we'll dive into some of that in a second. But I
Thank
was trying to
you.
think back to when we last spoke. And was it when you were in Toronto and we had dinner?
Yeah, remember that really delicious restaurant?
What was it called again?
God, I knew you were going to say that, and I
You can
really,
give it a shout out, but I can't remember for the life of me what it was.
ugh, me either.
But it was
Shoot,
really good food,
it
and
was
I think you
Lebanese
helped.
food, yeah?
I think it was Lebanese. I think you helped me with some of the menu because I'm vegan,
Mm,
but it was really good.
yeah,
So I think it's been too long. So let's make sure that the next time you're here that we have another meal like that again.
I would hope that. I would love that. I can't wait for it.
Yeah. So when the idea for this season being Queer Relief came up, your name was one of the first names that popped up in my mind, and I was like, I gotta get this guy on this podcast. And I think after everyone heard your bio, they now know why.
That's kind. I mean, it's really just so fun to talk to you. So I'm just so grateful for the opportunity.
And I really want this to be an opportunity for us to sort of dive in deep so that people get to know you and your story.
Mm.
So are you ready?
Yeah, yes, I am ready.
Okay, take a deep breath. Okay, Mike, sorry. As a
Mm.
Muslim, oh, I know, right? As a Muslim American, how would you describe your coming out journey?
Slow and unlike my white friends and nuanced and complicated and ever evolving.
Well, who did you come out to first?
Who did I come out to first is a really good question. And I want to just think about it and I want to take myself back because I think that I may have come out to some friends before I even was fully willing to come out to myself, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, totally.
I think I used them to test the waters a little bit.
These would
Um,
be like your close friends that you've known
Yes,
for a long time.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. And I'm still quite close with a lot of my high school friends and even elementary school friends and high school teachers. And so like the people who knew me when I was younger are still very much a part of my life, which I love. But I think that I was actually in New York. I had moved to New York after college and I was sitting in my college, no, my New York apartment with my best friend and roommate and his girlfriend, who is still a dear friend of mine, who is no longer his girlfriend. And I just kind of was like exploring these feelings that I was having for this boy. And the girlfriend, by the way, who is Tony Award winner Celia Keenan Bolger and an incredible human being, um, just gave me such permission to like not make any decisions. She was like, if you feel that way right now, great. And if you don't tomorrow, great. And however you feel, whenever you feel it, is great. And
Hmm.
I remember being so afraid of the finite or the sort of what's the word? Like if I say this, this is the trajectory of my life. And
Right.
I never really considered what it would mean to like say it, let it be my truth right now, and then like naturally let it organically evolve into whatever truth it may be in a year, in a month, in a whatever.
Wow. Did you ever get to a place where you declared a truth, or and if so,
Oh, totally.
yeah,
Oh, please.
yeah,
Oh, honey, we
yeah.
are old and we are set in our ways now. Yes,
So what
yes,
I
yes.
the reason why I'm asking is like, how did you get there, and what was sort of the point that made you get to the place where you could say your truth, whatever that was for you?
Um,
And it's different for everyone, but I think,
yeah,
yeah,
I just don't know if as I'm just thinking through that really wonderful question, I just don't know if it has like a sort of a straight, no pun intended, path of an answer because I think like the decision, like the every step of the way was a different kind of coming out. Like every person, every activity, every project, every conversation opened a new layer that I didn't know I needed to explore and unravel and and unpack. But I think ultimately I don't know when this happened. I don't know if it was very long ago. I would say probably in the last 10 years.
hmm,
Um, I think I just was sick of hearing the notion that this was a choice
hmm,
and that I could choose otherwise. And I think that I finally understood that what is a choice was waking up and loving myself. What is a choice is waking up and believing that my voice in my head is the loudest and most important one. And I think that's the choice. That's the choice. I'm not going to make everybody happy and I'm not going to make everybody proud and everybody has their own stuff. Can we swear? Shit, whatever.
yeah, it's
Um,
fine.
but I think like it was just I think my true like authentic coming out was accepting myself wherever I am
Right,
and just saying like that's okay, that's fine.
right. So did you at some point have a conversation with your parents, and how did that
Yeah,
go? Yeah, how did
yeah.
that go?
I came out to my siblings first I came out to my brother. No, I have three older siblings. I came out to my eldest sibling. I did not come out to her. She asked me. We were sitting around for Thanksgiving. My brother was dominating the television with sports. I sort of sarcastically said, "Can we turn it on Will and Grace?" And she sort of looked at me across the room and mouthed, "Are you gay?" And I just said, I think so." And she was like,
Right.
"Okay, cool." And we sort of like moved on.
It's kind of like,
Um,
can you just pass the salt and let's just go on with dinner?
yeah, like it wasn't, and in hindsight, she introduced me to my first gay person that I've ever met, and went to college, and was like very, very much like a friend of the gays. And like, so it was, it wasn't like uncommon for her, and probably unsurprising,
Right.
for her to be like, "Oh yeah, definitely that's the gay one of the bunch."
How old are you at
Um,
that point?
I was definitely in my 20s. So this was
20.
like 20 years ago.
Right. And so what's the age gap between you and your siblings? Like how old are they?
Eldest sister 10 years apart, brother 5 years apart, and younger sister 3 years apart.
So growing up, no one kind of asked or mentioned that.
Everybody asked.
No.
Everybody asked. Everybody
Hmm.
asked. Everybody was like, "What do you mean you're crying at this Disney movie? What do you mean you want to be in choir? What do you mean you don't want to play football? What do you
Right.
mean you like to cook with your grandmother? What do you mean?"
Right.
Yeah, everybody asked. And I was like, "What? No. What do you mean? I have a crush on Sarah Pazer. Oh my God." Like, I just perpetually had crushes on girls
Right.
until I didn't.
I remember
And
in my high school, I had decorated my locker with like the hottest soap opera female
yes,
stars and stuff,
yes.
and somehow I thought I was fooling people.
Yeah, yeah. I went to college. I went to college for musical theater, and
Mhm.
like that was the first real kind of exposure to the gay community that I had. It was like the first time I really, really like was around a lot of members of the LGBTQ community. And I remember putting a poster. Dawson's Creek was like the big show. And I
Right.
remember putting a poster of Katie Holmes up in my bedroom, like just to give off vibes, like I might be in ballet, but you know, and you know what? Let's be honest. No acting degree could train me to be as good as fooling those folks, because I fooled no one.
Right. I agree with that. And like in my own case, that is. So then how did it go with your parents?
Mhm.
You can take a
Mhm.
deep breath and
Yeah.
just
I think in all of the various like talks and podcasts and whatever, I don't think I've ever talked about this out loud, and or like, this might be the first.
wow, breaking news, everyone.
Yeah, truly.
Oh my
I
goodness. Okay.
I would
Has
say,
nobody ever asked you or just you didn't
yeah,
want to
I
talk
don't
about it
think
or
anyone's ever asked me.
wow, I think that's such an important question because it's such a critical part of anyone's coming out journey is that
Yeah,
conversation, especially because it's your parents. It's the one that you fear the most, at least for me.
yeah.
I mean,
This
I
is
talked about it in my first two episodes, and those of you who've listened to that will know how that went. But let's talk about yours now.
Yeah. I mean, like, here's the reality. It was not a beloved choice by my mother. May she rest in peace. And I don't think she lived much longer for us to ever like have that great moment of reconciliation around it.
Mm,
Um, so that is something that I often think about. Um, But I will also say very, very wholeheartedly that in her passing, have found the greatest form of peace between us and love of a relationship that I think for some reason I just wasn't able to see in her life. So
Hmm.
there is a lot of love between us currently. And I definitely came out to my father, and I think that I had to come out to him 3 years later, and then I think I had to come out to him again. And I think as he has some struggles with dementia, he doesn't remember to not ask me why I'm not married. And so I don't know how that conversation, I think that's just
Hmm.
is what it is.
Yeah, and to rewind press play in terms of what you mentioned about your mom, like from what I believe and come to know is that when they transition, their love doesn't die with that
Mm,
transition. And so love can never die. And a bond of love can continue to grow even when they're on the other side.
couldn't agree more.
Right. And so that's probably why, like, even today, through various rites and rituals that I have to celebrate and honor my mom, as you and I have talked about,
Yeah.
and I've talked about in my previous podcast in my first season, that love continues to grow every day because even though we can't touch them, we can't see them, they're still our parents. And even on the other side can be our parent. And when they are on the other side, it's like they can see through clear vision and see only the
Yeah.
love. None of the other stuff, it doesn't exist. They,
That's actually exactly how I feel, is that I feel like the relationship that I have with my mother now doesn't carry the sort of weightiness or heaviness that it carried while she was alive. Like, I really feel like as she comes to me in dreams often, as I think about her, I think about us, like, I truly think she is able to be in this in a way that she wasn't when she was alive.
hmm,
And maybe it's the things we tell ourselves, whatever. It's
right,
like truly how I feel.
sure. Yeah, I agree.
Um, yeah. And I think like I have an immensely close relationship with my dad, and like I I don't like I just don't think like I think if I had to like really, really put some money down on like where he's at, like I think that he doesn't care as long as no one asks him to care,
Hmm,
right? So like he knows all of my intricacies and all the things that I do, and and is just so beautifully smitten with me
hmm,
that like, you know, nobody wants to like change that.
right.
Um yeah, and it's
Did
just
you
been,
ever have the opportunity to bring a partner home to introduce to your family?
yeah, this is a complicated question because there is the mourning of the loss of that experience as a result of sort of that not being wanted or like that not being accepted. I would not do that because there's so much about that environment that I would not want to expose a partner to.
Hmm,
So I don't view that as a loss or as something to mourn. I view that as a protection of the way in which I want to accept, receive, and embrace love.
hmm. Interesting. Okay. So, would you describe yourself as a practicing Muslim? And if so, how did that impact your coming out?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I am devoutly practicing. I have a unabashed reverence and love for Islam, and have, I think, without question, my greatest joy in life um outside of Kelly Clarkson is the love that I have for my faith and the
So
relationship that I
Kelly
have.
Clarkson's a close second. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, she's up there for sure. um
I'm gonna tag her in this podcast.
yeah. Yes, and later I'll send you a video where I ran into her yesterday, unexpectedly, and like I say ran into her like we're friends, like we're not, and I was like definitely being like, hey God, it's Pride Month, and I see you. Thank you for this. Um, so yeah, it's despite society and external forces and the media and Muslims trying to infiltrate my mind and convince me that those two identities cannot coexist.
Mhm.
There has never been, for me, never been a time where I actually believed that. I've had experiences where it has been hard existing in society with that duality, but I have never sat with a belief that those things don't actually work in harmony.
Mhm.
Being gay has absolutely made me a better Muslim.
Hmm. I love that. And I love how you said that with such conviction. But based on your research and maybe personal search, what did you learn about Islam's view on homosexuality?
Okay, this is a tricky question, right? Because I am not, nor do I ever want to pretend to be an Islamic scholar or Muslim scholar. What I can tell you that I know is that unequivocally, my faith in God is unwavering. Unequivocally, I am attracted to men. Those things are innately in me, put there by God. And sort of back to that sort of first point that I was terribly making about just accepting oneself, is that like the like jihad for me, the struggle for me is not fighting those identities or putting them in opposition, but the struggle is holding on to them and their powerful duality in spite of society.
Mhm.
And so, yes, does the Quran ever mention the word homosexuality? No. Do people love to latch on to the story of Lot and like totally bastardize it and take away the historical context? Yes. Could I stand before somebody and have those discussions? Absolutely. But who cares?
Mhm.
Truly, who cares? Because nobody gets to tell me that I can't be Muslim and gay. When I die and I stand before God and God tells me, hey, by the way, you really wasted a lot of time, I'll believe it.
Right.
Until then, everyone get out of my lane that is directly with me and God. That's just how I feel about it.
Yeah.
I don't need to convince anyone. Nobody gets to have a say in my relationship with God. It's mine. I mean, just like it's just mine. That's just as simple as that for me. And it is with conviction that I say that, because I think that it is my belief that I think a lot of people go away from one identity or the other, whether that's, masking their identity or choosing to not participate in their faith because everybody told them they can't. And I don't want that for people. I want whatever their truth is to be the loudest. And
That's
look,
great. Yeah.
I've lived in big cities. I've lived alone. I've lived, with unbelievably, progressive and liberal friends who support any and all things that I do. That's a privilege. I understand absolutely that that's a privilege. And so however I can support someone's journeys, however I can stand in solidarity with the discovery, I'm all for. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying this is what works for me.
Amazing. I love that. I can't believe I'm going to share the story, but I remember I went to at one time a Sunni Muslim wedding. I'm Shia, but I'm just stating that because that was just the wedding that I went to. And there was an imam giving a talk, and I think the wedding was like in a hotel or something. But anyway, he was talking about um, in order to, this is what he said, in order to solidify your faith with Islam,
You
one
have to get
must get
married.
married.
Mm.
And so he said, for all the single people here, the men and the women, please take advantage of this time and, get to know one another.
Oh my
And
God.
I was like, so I just heard that and I kind of snuck out at that point.
Yeah.
I went out and I remember looking and I thought, oh, there's a bar. And I must have gone, done a couple of shots of tequila. And then I kind of snuck back into the ceremony. I had never heard that before, to be honest.
Uh,
Um, but it just like, and my parents were at the wedding, and it made for a really awkward drive home because I
yeah.
wasn't out at that time. My parents didn't know. And my father sort of turned to me as we were driving and he said, so did you hear what that imam said about
Oh
marriage? And
God.
I was like, yeah, I did. And I kind of didn't, encourage the dialogue or the conversation at that point because I think I was still in shock at what I heard. Like, what are your thoughts? I mean, it sounds like you've heard that before.
Yeah, yeah. It completes your dean, is what I heard, right? Like it completes your faith. And I guess, right? Like if I had to apply nuance to that, because we live in a very nuanced world and life. What is marriage? Marriage is a contract between two people who have committed to one another and will like uplift each other to be the best versions of themselves and are, like-minded in various things and whatever. And I'm like, whatever. Like, I am probably my best person when someone with me is uplifting me and making me feel my best. And I don't know, I can make sense of it, but I don't know if it necessarily has to be as like cut and dry as like marry a woman or you're going to hell.
Right, right. Because that's what
Yeah.
it felt like. And I kind of went,
Yeah, of
oh my
course,
God.
of course, of
Yeah,
course, of course. And I would love to do a case study of like the amount of marriages that resulted from that sermon, and then
right.
sort of see, you know, how many of them are still together.
Together. Yeah. Um,
Um, yeah, that's interesting. I have heard that before, and it is isolating language, and I think yeah, I again, it becomes one of those voices
right.
that makes you second guess your own.
Yeah, it could be very misleading and like you
Yeah.
said, make you second guess who you are and
Yes,
make you think
totally. Which
there's something wrong with me. I'm not going to marry a
there it
woman.
is.
What does
There it
that
is.
say about my faith with Islam? Like, am I only
Exactly.
half solidified or what does that mean
Yeah.
after I die? Like, you can go down the rabbit hole of all of that and it can lead you down a very dark path, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Prior to coming out, did you know of any other gay Muslims?
Uh, people who were gay who grew up in the faith but may or may not be practicing. Yeah, I think there was, yeah, I have a very vivid memory of a guy who grew up near my grandmother, and like all of my relatives knew him and like loved to like garden with him and like go pass by and like give like he would give like tomatoes from his garden, and like it was very clear, right, what was going on, and he was single, and you know but there was like a hush hush about him. I think that's like the first and only like example that I could think of within the community that I grew up in.
Yeah, like I didn't. I didn't know one person.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
not one.
I
Um,
certainly didn't know any who went to study musical theater.
right. Yeah, and you hear that a lot, especially in our generation. Like we didn't know of anyone.
Yeah.
Um, and even in media, did you know anyone or no, right?
Oh,
Like,
it's the exact reason why Breaking Fast exists, right?
right.
It's like,
Yeah,
Breaking Fast exists because somebody asked me who best represents me in film and TV,
right.
and I was like, no,
No
nobody,
one.
like no
Yeah.
one. Everyone is either like denying their faith or like, really, really hating themselves for being gay. And like that just wasn't me. And this friend of mine was like, "Well, you should write something." And I was like, "No, I would never." And then the next day I was to my best friend. I was like, "Oh my God, read this." So, and like, that I think, there is such truth in the yearning for seeing yourself represented, which is a talking point that we hear a lot about here, both, in Hollywood and in the zeitgeist right now. But
Mhm. But is that
you know,
why you became a writer and director? Because you just didn't see yourself in anything, or did that sort of come about first?
I think, yeah, I went to school for musical theater and I really, really had Broadway dreams. Like it was all I could really think about. But I think after 9/11, my focus shifted quite a bit to telling Arab and Muslim stories. I was really sort of over the media getting to dictate those stories and wanting
Mm.
to have a real hand in like talking about what it was like growing up in Dearborn, Michigan, which didn't feel like anything I was seeing when Arabs came on the screen. And and like so much of the, like I remember like thinking like my Big Fat Greek Wedding is like great for me because it's like every aunt and mother and grandmother, it's
Mm.
very relatable. And I was like, well, where's ours? We should have something like that because that is totally universal. And so I think it was really 9/11 that propelled me into wanting to take back the narrative of our storytelling.
Mm. Interesting. And I mean, let's talk a bit about Breaking Fast now, since you brought it up. First of all, congrats on all your success on this movie. I was
Thank you.
just reading the lists of awards that it's won. I mean, it's done so well on the
Thank God.
LGBTQ plus film circuit. So it's definitely, resonated with a lot of people in an award winning way.
Thank you.
Tell everyone who hasn't seen it, what's this movie about?
Breaking Fast is a romantic comedy set in West Hollywood, California, which is the neighborhood of LA, during the month of Ramadan, in which a practicing Muslim breaks his fast every night with a guy that he meets randomly at a party that he doesn't want to be at, but goes. And they sort of get to know each other in a chaste and sort of easy kind of way throughout the month of Ramadan, breaking fast, lots of food. They're like, cooking and eating. And there's like a lot of that sort of My Big Fat Greek Wedding kind of cultural humor instilled in it. And and I really wanted, and this is going to sound so silly, but I really wanted to write a very 90s rom-com that featured Julia Roberts, if Julia Roberts were a gay Muslim man living in West
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood. And I think it's both familiar and subversive to the genre. And I think just people have enjoyed that. And I think the performances are really good and the actors were a joy. And so yeah, I'm so grateful that it resonated with people. It's like very scary to put your stuff out there in the world. Who
Right.
knows? People got opinions. Nobody asked.
But I love the fact that you sort of jumped the whole um, aspects of the struggles that Muslims may face coming out and all the problematic and the family
Yeah.
and the drama and all the stuff that you and I have gone through on a personal
Yeah.
level and took it to the level of just a normalized rom-com with two normal people that just happen to be gay, one of whom is Muslim, where the traditions of the holy month are embraced by not just obviously, you know, the main lead character, Mo, but also his love interest who partakes in the breaking of the fast with him,
Yeah.
and how it turns into this amazing romance, which was amazing. I've seen the movie twice. I love it so much.
Thank
And
you.
it was yeah, it was interesting for me to watch it because I think I told you this when we had dinner that night, but when I was 12 years old, I wanted to pursue acting and get into commercials. And my parents supported it. We, enrolled in acting classes and took lessons. And then when it came time to finding an agent, that's when I realized being brown was
Mm,
a disadvantage for me.
mm,
And so I'm 12 years old, and this agent tells me, I'm sorry, kid, we want mostly white people, quote unquote. Okay,
yeah.
so I'm 12 and I'm feeling the rejection of that. And it's the first time, I mean, I've experienced racism growing up in Canada in the early 70s. It was a tough time. People kept calling me Packy and telling me to go back to where I came from.
Oh,
And
wow.
and I was very confused about that because I mean, I'm not from Pakistan, I'm from Tanzania, but there was a lot of like, bullying and whatnot associated with that. And so I felt the rejection in the school and and in the playgrounds and whatnot. And then I'm being told that the world doesn't want me on TV. And I grew up not seeing myself on television just like you. And the intersection of brown and gay just did not exist. Like that was unheard of. And so when I got on the Reebok team in Canada, this is like 18 years later, I just signed the contract. They were telling me about, what the expectations were. And they said, you really need to get yourself on television to create a public persona. Because
Yeah.
everyone on the team had either a television show, a book out. They were known in Canadian television, either as guest fitness expert and whatnot. And I was new to the scene. And I thought,
Mm,
you just gave me the most impossible task.
yeah.
How in the world am I going to get on television knowing that there's this history that I grew up in, which they obviously weren't aware of, but I just walked out of there feeling completely deflated. And I thought, I signed this contract and I'm not even going to be able to meet the expectations. It's over. But I think there must have been divine intervention because within 24 hours of walking out of that office, I got a call from two casting agents,
Oh, wow.
right? And who had seen me on a website. I was represented by an organization called Fitness Presenters that represented my work that I did with Reebok, as well as workshops that I was doing that would book me for fitness conferences and workshops.
Oh
But
my
they were
God,
looking
this
for,
is
yeah,
thrilling.
isn't that crazy? So now I had two auditions, and I was fortunate enough to get one, which was called In Shape with Sharon Man. And again, there was nobody brown on television, let alone brown and doing fitness. So to break
Yeah.
in that way was really tough. But I'm happy to say that that was a huge moment for me in my life. Not, I didn't realize that I would be sort of like trailblazing this, but when I saw Breaking Fast, I mean, we're only talking 2020, just 3 years ago.
Yeah.
That was the first time that I'd seen
Wow.
anyone gay and Muslim. So that was huge for me.
Wow. Is that real?
Yeah.
Wow. That's fascinating to me. I mean, like, I think like just thinking that through, by the way, that's so exciting that like, the world, like, look, God is the best of planners. There's no way around that. So whatever anybody told you, like there was always going to be a plan. But uh the reason why I wanted to make the tone of Breaking Fast what it was because what could I say about the tropes that we grew up with? Like that's I don't need to further perpetuate those ideas. I want to disrupt the narrative and you know I fantasize about what happens if we live in a world where everything that's in the movie is quite commonplace. And maybe it feels idyllic now, but hopefully, maybe it's the start of reimagining what happens for us, 5, 10, 20 years from now, where in fact it is commonplace.
Mhm.
And we all deserve that. I mean, we certainly all deserve love. And that we should not be putting any kind of compromises around that.
Yeah. And what kind of response did you get from the queer Muslim community as well from the straight Muslim community?
Yeah, very different responses. The queer Muslim community, by and large, was like unbelievably overjoyed, unbelievably sweet and receptive. And like I still truly, truly still get from both the queer Muslim and just queer community messages and notes constantly about this film helped me create a dialogue with my family, and this film is like, gave me hope that what I'm looking for exists, or helped me remember that I could have a relationship with Islam, like whatever. I mean, it's like unbelievably nice. On the flip side, there was a very small yet vocal, and isn't it funny how it's always a small and vocal minority who, you know, espoused the rhetoric that you could probably script right now without even knowing.
Mm.
And again, wake up, make a choice. Who's right? And let me tell you something. I'm right. They're wrong. And good luck to them. Let's focus on the good and the beauty and the joy. And let's live in a world where we propel goodness.
Hmm. Amen
But
to
yeah,
that.
I mean, it's not fun to have people wish death upon you because they're so unbelievably afraid of something they know nothing about. But I'm not here. I mean, like, I can be here and spin my wheels and try to convince them otherwise, or I can just focus on the folks who are throwing their arms around me and going, hey man, let's go on this journey together and see how those relationships flourish and what good that puts into the world. That's much more exciting to me.
I think so too. And I'm, definitely speaking for me and many who watched this movie and it was like, we belong. We finally
Mm,
belong, right? We
you always
belong,
belong. You
right?
always belonged. We always belong.
Right?
It's just, and there have been plenty of folks in my life. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's not like I wake up every day and I'm like, I don't understand what people's problem is. Why don't they just think like me? Like, it is a journey, and some days it's harder than others, but like for the most part, I don't understand anyone who thinks they have any say whatsoever in my happiness.
Right.
Like, it is absolutely my own journey.
Yeah. And you've definitely taken that and put it into your art in the most beautiful way.
Oh man,
And
thank you.
yeah, it's true. Like, you've changed the landscape of media with this movie. Like, when I think of Hollywood in general, the only South Asian that I know that's publicly out only recently came out, and that was Cal Penn,
Yeah,
right? Other than that, can you think of anybody else that's South Asian that's publicly out
South Asian
in
gay.
Hollywood?
I know. Yes. I mean, depending on the level to which um, you know, the person. There are folk, but certainly not in the public eye.
Right. And there you go. And,
Yeah.
even in, if we go to the Bollywood industry, I can't think of one Bollywood actor or actress
Yeah.
that's publicly out.
Yeah.
And I think that having stories like the one that you shared in Breaking Fast can make such a difference in the way
Mm,
that we view our world.
yeah. Well, thank you for that. I mean, listen, I think Breaking Fast is my it's like, it's my baby. I feel so in love with that piece, and I'm so grateful that that it has resonated with other people. Um I just um I just think it is one of many, many stories to tell, both mine and others. And I hope that we can find a path to tell and support those other stories. They all
Mm,
deserve to be heard.
right. Everyone deserves a great love story, I think, too.
Right. Absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
So let's shift gears and talk a little bit about your love life. Are you single? Are
Oh,
you
this will be
dating?
the quickest segment of the podcast. Fantastic.
What's the status, Mr. Mosallam?
Um, I am currently unattached. I am currently struggling to create a work-life balance that allows me to be available. And I am currently yearning to share my beautiful life with someone, but also not willing to settle.
Okay. All right. Keep talking.
Um,
Tell us what you're looking for. This,
oh my God. Is this it? Is this what's gonna find me love?
well, it's a possibility to a doorway. So we're here. We might as well
We're
walk through it.
here. Oh, love that. Listen, I think at the ripe age of 43, an age I adore and I love. And if anyone tells you they don't love their 40s, we need to talk to them because the 40s are where it's at.
Okay. Well, I've passed that decade. I wish I spoke to you 10 years ago.
Where? No, you didn't. I fully thought you were in your 30s on your way to your 40s.
Oh, well, thank you. I am
Goodness.
52, but I will accept that. Thank you very
Oh my
much.
goodness. Had no idea.
Yeah.
Well, I
52,
don't know how
but
you're.
maybe I will say I will think and feel like I'm in my 30s, but according to my birth certificate, I'm 52.
Same,
And
according to my
proudly, and totally proudly. Like,
beautiful.
yeah.
According to my birth certificate, I'm 43, almost 44. And according to my
You thought I
emotionality,
was in my 30s? I still can't get over that. But anyway, go on.
38. I thought you were
Wow.
38 years old.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Okay, go on.
Um, what was I saying? Oh, I know what I was saying. Listen,
My bad.
this is
Sorry.
this is the truth. I'm open to a lot of things. Here are the non-negotiables.
Okay. Spell it out.
If you are not kind, keep moving.
Hmm.
It has taken me a long time to value kindness.
I agree.
And kindness is sexy. Put it on a t-shirt.
Make a
And
movie.
about kindness, I think I did a little bit, but yeah, I see what you're saying. And also you gotta want something. I don't care what it is, but you gotta want something. You gotta wake up and say, I want this, and today is about getting something, and just like drive and passion and like
Hmm.
oh, one more thing, one more.
Okay.
I'm sure there are others, but like, have you been in therapy? If not, can you go to therapy?
Okay.
Can I not be your therapist? Can
Right.
we just deal with the wounds? I read a really good quote. Oh, can I read the quote?
Yeah, go for it.
It's right here hanging on my wall. It's not about finding a partner who has flawless emotional maturity. It's about finding someone who can match your level of commitment, not just to the relationship, but commitment to heal themselves so they can love better, see more clearly, and have more presence.
Oh, you got to send me that
That's
because
what
I
I
think you
want.
just verbalized a lot of what I've written down
Yes, that's
in
what I want.
my wish list.
Yeah.
Okay. So those okay, so this person has to be in therapy, they have to want something, they have to be kind. Um Anything else?
Do you think they need to be Muslim? God, would that be ideal? So I can go back to that imam and say, hey, found my other half of my faith. Here we
Right.
go.
Yeah, I found
You
my
know,
Cal.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I would
Cal is Mo's
love,
romantic partner, but go on.
oh, yes. I would love to date a Muslim. I would love to
Okay.
be in a relationship with another Muslim and like make that a part of our lives.
Right.
Um, if that is not in the cards for me, then I'm happy to not be in a Muslim relationship as long as my partner has, undeniable respect for my own practice.
Right. So, are there any challenges or barriers that you face in the dating scene being a gay Muslim? Is that
How
why you
many
say
gay
that?
Muslims you know? You know a lot?
I
Is
know
there a
some.
lister?
Yeah, I
Can you
know
put me
some.
on the email group?
I can
When he,
introduce you to some. Yeah.
oh, yeah, okay. Well, I'm walking through the door here. I'm here. Um, yeah, no, I mean, I'd love that. I would love that. I have dated a couple of Muslims, and the so far, I think that that has been lovely. And also, sometimes we are, as I said, not in a place to work on our shit.
Hmm.
And I think we need to work on our shit.
Right. So is that like something you do regularly? You speak to someone, or what does that look like
Oh
for you?
yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I've been in a relationship with my therapist for 7 years.
Well, okay, that's
I
great.
love her.
Yeah.
She's fantastic.
Right.
She's not Muslim, but she's Lebanese and she speaks Arabic to me in session. And it is like, I'm like, yes, ma'am, correct. You are right. Yes, I love everything about her. I don't understand why people won't go to therapy. It's the
Hmm.
best.
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand the financial sort of side of it, but like, I think therapy is the best.
Right. Yeah. I've certainly had my share of counselors and therapists, like I talk about in my first and second episode of this season about the person I worked with in particular with my coming out. I refer to as a spiritual therapist because I needed
Mm,
someone to explain to me things at a deeper level for me, for
mm,
my understanding. What is my soul here to experience? What are the impacts of this journey? What am I here to learn? Because I just I want to maximize my time here. I want
yeah,
to, I want to maybe not get it right, but I want to maximize my time.
yeah,
If this is school and I'm here to learn, then I want to learn everything that I possibly can.
that makes
Um,
sense.
and then on other aspects, like, when my mom transitioned, I went uh, to get the support of 5 grief counselors, and each one helped me in a different area, one with career, one, from a spiritual perspective and whatnot. So I definitely have my share of support systems in place as well.
Beautiful. You
Yeah,
know what?
yeah.
And like I don't, I it can you can have five at once, you can go through a period where you have none, you can go back to one, like whatever, like just like, just the fundamental understanding that like talking something out is
Hmm.
always the better choice.
Yeah, I agree.
You
I
think
think
I'm
it's
like too
healthy.
set in my ways?
No, not at all. I
Too
mean, I think,
rigid.
we go to the doctor to take care of our physical body. We go to the dentist to take care of our teeth. We go to the eye doctor to take care of our eyes. And I often tell people, like, in terms of your allied health team members, you should have a good physiotherapist or physical therapist. I mean, I am a physical therapist, and I think it's important to develop a really good relationship with one and whoever else you need. And that's got to include someone for mental health because it's a
Absolutely.
vital part of our health, right? Like, we can't be physically well and mentally ill because
Yeah.
that's not going to work, and vice versa. So I think that that's great, and I actually applaud you for speaking to someone.
Thank you. I love it.
Yeah. And Mr. Mosallam, what advice would you have to share with, say, a person who's listening to this right now that might be struggling
Yeah. Yeah.
either with their coming out or where they're at in life?
First and foremost, you are not alone. And it is really important to find your tribe.
I agree.
Really important to really take a look around you and ask yourself, are these people serving my greatness or are they not? And like really be okay standing out on a limb by yourself rather than around people who don't uplift you.
Mm, that's amazing. Was it important for you to have a tribe that was Muslim based or just queer? It didn't matter.
No, I mean, I think part of what I love about my tribe is the just the spectrum of perspectives,
Hmm.
queer, gay, trans, white, black, brown, yellow, male, female, cis, non-binary. It's just like it just sort of opens my eyes to things all across the spectrum.
And it's easier to find a tribe now, I think, than there was when when I was coming out 20 years ago, because there was no social media, there was
Yeah.
no LGBTQ plus alliances in my
Yeah, yeah,
school.
yeah,
There
yeah,
was nothing, like you couldn't Google. So it was a lot harder back then. Coming out
yeah.
was a very isolating experience.
Ugh. I think that our age, um, yeah, I think we are of a very specific generation.
Right. Yeah.
Um, but I would agree that I think for younger generations there are more resources. And at the same time, there's also so much more noise.
Right.
So, pick and choose.
Yeah. And the resources include movies now like Breaking Fast. So thank you for that.
Honey, that's so
It's
nice.
it's true. It really is
It's
true.
really kind.
Yeah, no, I say it because I really mean it.
Thank you.
And speaking of projects, do you have anything coming up that we should look out for? I mean, you talked about the adaptation of Breaking Fast to become a
Yeah, I
TV
hope.
series. Like, when is
Yeah,
that happening?
exactly. My producing partner and I have drafted this like really cool pitch that takes place a year after the movie ends, and it really dials into basically the three main guys, Mo, his best friend Sam, and his ex Hassan, and their weird love explorations in West Hollywood, being in a monogamous relationship, being like in a polyamorous committed relationship, and also just like really like trying to figure out who you are and where you fit in the culture. And so it's pretty cool. It brings me a lot of joy. It's very funny, but hopefully somebody agrees with me and we get to see that on the big screen or the little screen someday. And then right now I'm just kind of focused on you know, on Sunday are the Tony Awards, and I am just excited to go and have some shows that I'm producing nominated and see what happens after that.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's my high school dream coming true right now.
That's amazing. Can I just make a request? Can you please post more on social media?
No,
Come on,
absolutely not. No.
Mike, we can't follow you if you're not posting those red carpet pictures at the Tony Awards.
No,
And
thank you. Do you know somebody stopped dating me because I wasn't on Instagram?
what?
Do you know how grateful I was for that? I mean, like, think about what else I dodged if that was the thing that like ended the relationship.
Okay, our relationship is still going to be there regardless of whether
I
you post or
appreciate
not.
it.
But I, yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess I can believe that. That's crazy, though. Wow. Okay, well, you dodged whatever there.
Dodged whatever, and I feel great about it. So that's fine. But you know what? Listen, I think like, what I love is that like if somebody was like, hey, Mike, thought about you, what's going on in your world? And then like we like had like a nice luxurious phone call.
Hmm.
Call me anytime.
Okay,
Yeah. You got my number.
that's why you gave it to him. Cool. Well, Mike, this has been a great conversation.
Thank you. I have loved it. You
I
are incredible.
Thank you. I'm still new to the podcasting thing, so your feedback is much valued. I'm sure you can.
For those listening, just so that everyone's aware, he just pushed back the hair he doesn't have behind his ear as he said that.
When I did have hair, I used to do that, so I think it's just force of habit.
It's
I think it's
just
like it's just like phantom limb pain. You're just like phantom hair that's used to be there. Um,
yeah.
but no, in all honesty, you shared incredible insights.
Ah, can
Uh,
nobody listen to this? I'm so vulnerable right now. My God.
it's true. You've taken your experiences and created these amazing projects to share with our world. I love the work that you're doing. You're making our world more inclusive, which is very much needed.
Thank you.
I sincerely wish you continued success always.
Oh, thank you so much. Same to you.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. You are humble, you are kind, you're an amazing human being. You deserve someone who's kind and all the things that you want.
Mm.
And my only request is, can we please get together again the next time you're in town soon?
Yes, without question. Or if you ever go anywhere, New York, whatever, like let me know because I travel so much. I'd love to just be in the same town.
Yeah, that would be great. And we'll pick a restaurant and indulge.
That's
Good
right.
conversation, great meal.
Love it.
Everyone, to learn more about Mike, you can check out his website and social media links, but he's not going to post that much anyway. But I'll have all of that in the description of this podcast. Mike,
Fine, I'll post more. Goodbye.
love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm Farhan Dalla. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's episode of Elevate Your Life, a transformational podcast. I hope today's conversation has elevated you in some way and inspired you to connect, move, and meditate. I'd really appreciate your support by following and rating this podcast. Come back soon and join me for another transformative conversation.